This weekend, Supercars are headed up north to the Hidden Valley for their Indigenous round, with a spicy championship battle going into the weekend. Now whether it be dust, heat or some striking liveries, here's what you should expect at the Darwin Triple Crown. Now before we get too deep into what might happen, let's talk about when it will happen, and let's run through the format. So Friday sees Supercars running their two 30-minute practice sessions at 11:15 and 2:35, with the televised coverage beginning at 10:30 on Foxtel. The real action, however, begins on Saturday, with a 40-minute qualifying session kicking off at noon and race 13 taking place at 3:55 for 35 laps. Televised coverage for Saturday starts at 8:55 and is live on free-to-air from midday Saturday and Sunday too, with Foxtel coverage beginning at 8:25 for the final day of running. Supercars will have two short 15-minute quali sessions at 10 and 10:20, one after the other, followed by two 35-lap races to finish off the Triple Crown, with race 14 starting at 12:20 and race 15 at 3:55. Now all these race times are Australian Eastern Standard Time, so you might need to make adjustments depending on where you are in Australia, or the world for that matter. Erebus are leading the team's championship into the weekend, with Brodie Kostecki in first place and Will Brown in second place, with Chaz Mostert, SVG and Brock Feeney close behind. Now if you've never watched Darwin before, it's such a great track for Supercars and it always throws up some interesting and exciting racing. One of the biggest things about it though is the amount of lap 1 or even turn 1 incidents that this racetrack has. For example, last year we had a big red flag after James Courtney spun out across the track into the path of other cars. Lap 1 of this circuit is one of the more challenging lap 1s in Australia, given the heat, the dust and sort of the long straight before turn 1. Even many moons ago when we were first racing upon this track, there was lap 1 incidents, turn 1 incidents. It's been one of those tracks for many decades and it's one of the reasons why it can be so exciting. We've raced the Triple Crown at Hidden Valley many times over the past few decades, and usually every year or two there is a turn 1 lap 1 incident. We escaped that last year, however we got the huge red flag shunt that took out many cars, so maybe this year we will see another lap 1 turn 1 incident. Especially with the way things are heating up in this championship right now, with many potential candidates for victory, especially if Ford can get their stuff together this weekend with the new parity changes that are incoming, they could perhaps get their first proper win of the season, and there could be a lot of contention into turn 1 with the long straight, a lot of jostling for position, which is the perfect breeding ground for a lap 1 safety car. And of course it's not just lap 1 that you have to worry about when it comes to turn 1 as well. After a safety car is huge for incidents. Safety cars breed safety cars, and that has never been more true than at Darwin. This track especially, as I said, the long straight, it's one of the longest main straights I think in Australia. It's insane. It covers the whole track distance. Now of course it's not just turn 1 at this track, it's not just one corner where everybody crashes, but it is one of the more challenging corners of the track, and the track itself is very challenging. The high heat, the dust everywhere, there's many corners where drivers can make mistakes and it can be costly. These include turn 5, turn 6 and turn 10, where especially on the first lap, drivers try to go side by side and can often find a lack of grip which just sends them into the grass, into the wall. And once you reach the grass, it's often very dusty, not the best conditions for sort of getting yourself back on the track safely. And I just do want to touch on it once again. Darwin is in a very hot, dusty place. I know I've mentioned it multiple times, but in all of these incidents, you can just see dust flying everywhere. It obscures your vision, it makes it harder to drive, and it's part of the reason why some of these crashes do look very interesting, do look very cool and unique, because every time a car goes off the road, there's just dust flicking up into the air. It makes the sort of slides a little bit more epic. Obviously, it's not just the crashes either, because a driver committed on a lap, just touching a little bit of grass, sprouting out dust. It's just a great sight to see. It really makes motorsports more interesting in my eyes. There are, however, some people who will not love the action and the chaos of this track, as much as I do, and those are of course the drivers themselves and the team owners, because a crash here can cause a lot of damage and cost a lot of money and cause a lot of time repairing your car, especially like on Sunday where you got so much action. You got quali, race, and then later in the day a race. Those repairs sometimes just aren't as easy to come around, especially with the sort of destructive capabilities of these cars and how hard they can be to repair. A big shunt in quali on Sunday could mean that you aren't racing in either of the races. But that's enough about crashing, that's enough about heat, that's enough about dust. Let's talk about the side action for supercars this weekend. And firstly, right off the bat, let's talk about superbikes. They are racing in Darwin with supercars. It's the one time a year they all get to race together, and I think the fans really truly love it. It's a great experience for motorcycle fans, and as well as that, supercars fans who want to get into motorcycle racing. Darwin is a track that really works well for the superbikes and usually produces some exciting racing. Usually supercars do some sort of special event alongside the superbikes. Like for example, a few years ago we saw James Courtney do a lap around the track, quote unquote, racing against a superbike, which was really nice to see. Really showed some of the speed comparisons, especially off the line as the bike just shot off. But honestly, probably one of the things I love most about the event is the superbikes. But as well as that, we have the always entertaining Aussie racing cars. If you don't know anything about them, I 100% suggest you check them out. They are so entertaining to watch. They are just basically miniature versions of supercars, and man, they race hard in those series. On top of that, we also have the Porsche Carrera Cup returning, which Porsche Carrera Cup and supercars often go hand in hand. Really nice to see them at Darwin. And maybe if racing isn't your thing, which I'd be surprised by if you got this far in the video, they also have multiple drag racing events with the Nitro up north after the racing is finished on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, which once again, really entertaining. Usually supercars do something to promote that as well. Now that all the information and what to expect is out of the way, here's what I think you can expect, and basically here's my predictions. My bold prediction for the weekend is that Ford will get their first proper win of the season, and by that I mean finishing across the line first. I think there's too great of an opportunity for drivers like SVG, Brodie, Kostecki and Will Brown to be involved in incidents up the front. So I think that maybe a Ford driver such as Mostert or Waters will be able to claim their first win this weekend. A few more safe predictions, shall we say. I think there's going to be red flags in 2 of the 3 qualifying sessions, as well as both practices. I feel like that's a safe prediction. I predict there's going to be 2 races with safety cars and 1 without. SVG will get a win, Brodie, Kostecki and Erebus will leave the round still leading the championships. I think all of that's pretty safe. I do have a few more bold ones. Tickford will get at least a podium in 2 of the races. And I also think we will see a BJR car on the podium as well. Part of me hopes that it's Bryce Fullwood, just so that he could get, a podium at his home race. And my final prediction is that we will see a car on the front row this weekend that hasn't been on the front row at all this season. Now this video will be coming out on the Friday morning before the event starts, but let me know if you have any predictions, let me know what your thoughts are, and I hope that you enjoy this racing weekend. I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you for watching.